Young, what would I say to my younger self? Baby, we don't need nobody else. Yeah, we all we need, and God as a back, baby, yes, indeed. Young, what would I say to my younger self? Oh, baby, we don't need nobody else. Cause we all we need, and angels got a back, baby, yes, indeed.
Hey, what's good, everybody? Welcome to episode 1. I'm really excited to be starting this podcast. Um, for those of you that don't know, I've been doing music for maybe 30 years or something like that. I've released 27 albums, including the EPs, right? But nonetheless, I guess they're smaller albums, right? So I've still done 27 albums. Um, and all that good stuff. Some of those were instrumental albums too, but I just threw them in there, right? So it's just like the full-rounded creative artist, right? So I've been doing spiritual podcast now for a couple years. I've done at least 130 episodes as of now. So yeah, I've been wanting to do this music podcast for a while, right? Now having the experience doing the podcast, music's always been my first love. And so that's what I'm gonna make this first video about is that um, you know, like once I started the spiritual road, I think, certain people get scared, right? Like some people don't understand it, right? And so there were always hints about how tapped in I was spiritually, right? And so that's what I'm gonna talk about right here. Like there's this song called It's All Spiritual that I wrote back in 2010. And I think I finally was able to put it on an album in 2013, right? The It's All Spiritual song. And first I did it like it was cool. I met this guy. So I'm just gonna give you the whole backstory. I met this guy that someone introduced me to, this friend. He introduced me to a producer who, he was selling beats. Back then, beats were a little more expensive than how you find them online now, right? It was like he would make beats for maybe like $300. Great producer. He was like well-rounded. He had some beats that sounded like Dre beats, some Kanye style beats. He was just a well-rounded producer. And so I went over to meet him in his house, and then he's like, yeah, well, I also got these beats online that I lease. And he had like a bunch of beats for like 99 cents. So I was like, what? Like these things sound great. Like I said, he had some Dre sounding ones, some Kanye ones. I was like about to pay this guy like $300. And he heard these 99-cent beats. So I bought like 40 of them, right? I was like, oh, cool, cool. I'll get back to you on the beats. And then I went home and I bought like 40 of them. After that, I saw he put the prices up. I think he put them to like 20 and $30 each. Cause I guess he was like, oh shoot. But I had the permission already, right? I had the license agreement and everything. So I had bought those, like 40 beats and 99 cents. So I made 2 albums out of it. I didn't even get to use all the beats. But even that, even after buying them, some of the songs were so good that I was like, man, these beats, like, it was cool, but it was just on an MP3. So I was like, damn, I really can't like some of them actually, yeah, like some of the beats, like I went to a studio and they were putting thicker kick drums or they would add little stuff over the beat, right? But for the most part, there wasn't a whole lot I could do, right? Even though I worked some magic with them, right? Well, the producer did, right? The producer I was working with, he worked his magic and he made them sound, from 99-cent beats to maybe a couple $100 type beats, right? Like he made them sound a lot better. But some of the songs were so good, I was like, you know what? Um, let's remake the beat. Like this song deserves that, right? So the It's All Spiritual, actually, first I went to another producer I was working with, and he kind of made him like a more gangster type mix, right? Because we had the original It's All Spiritual beat that I was even performing. There was this church that used to ask me, like, hey, you got anything positive? And so I performed It's All Spiritual at a few shows for them, like an event that they did at the church, also, like different things, right? I would perform the It's All Spiritual. And it was funny because they'd always make sure to say, like, oh, like this is, Old Architect. He's a secular artist, but he's gonna perform here for the church. So they always made sure to put some kind of distance in case people heard the other stuff that I had. You know what I mean? They wanted them to know, oh, this song's really God filled, but the other stuff he's a secular artist, but he's gonna spit for us today, right? So the It's All Spiritual, I got to perform it at the church with the 99 Cent beat. After that, I was like, I think this song deserves a better beat. First, I has one producer. He kind of made like a gangster mix. Actually, it was like real, sounded real like old school West Coast like gangster rap, right? Um, but for some reason, I don't know, we didn't record it. Then after that, uh finally, I started working with this producer that goes by David Salas. I'm hoping to, I'm gonna try to get a hold of him to interview him for the podcast because working with him kind of changed my life, right? He really changed my life. And I'll save some of that story for, when I interview him, which I'm sure I will eventually, so I'm gonna reach out to him to interview him, of course, right? Because I worked with him for so many years, really until the pandemic hit, right? Everybody kind of like from that moment on, things had to change, right? For obvious reasons. So, um, so the It's All Spiritual, eventually, I got the beat that I'm gonna play for you right here that David Salas made, and he just brought it to a whole nother level from that 99 Cent beat to there, so it regardless, even though like I said, I bought those 99 Cent beats, half of them I kind of remade because they deserved better. I was like, nah, these, but at least it gave me that, right? It was like I spent 99 cents, and those beats were inspirational enough that it was like, for those of you that know, right? Like I'm one of those that, yeah, I could write with a beat or without a beat, but I love writing to a beat because, you feel the beat and inspires you, boom, 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 and then it comes out, right? So, but the whole thing about the It's All Spiritual, right? It's like, I was already trying to show, right? Back then, like people weren't that open with the spirituality, right? It was, people were still more stuck on like the religion thing, right? So I was already very aware of even like the people I come from, our culture, right? So I was very aware, very a lot of knowledge of self, right? So I wasn't just blindly following like religions and all that stuff, right? I respected everyone's belief, but at the same time, like I knew, you know, I had enough knowledge to know like that, and that's what this song is about, right? So if you see in the video, I'm going to all these, I'm rapping in front of a church, I'm rapping like at a Hindu temple or whatever, searching, right? I'm at a Buddhist temple, so I'm at all these different places, and I show clips like from different, like all the religion things, right? And I think at that point, I had probably already taken a class in college, even the world religions, right? And when I took that world religions class, at school I wasn't like the best at everything, right? But like if they had extra credit, I always did it, and I would get A's, 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 just probably from extra credit, right? So they ended up having this extra credit that it would like you could have up to 10 extra credit points, right? Which would like bring your grade up a lot, right? So I went to like, I think that was the first time for me going to a powwow, right? I hadn't even been to a powwow yet. So I went to my first powwow. I went to a Sikh temple, right? I'm pretty sure that's how you say it, Sikh, because I always pronounce it wrong. A Sikh temple. I learned about their culture. I went to a Buddhist temple, the Hindu temple. So I was just getting all of my little extra credit points right up to 10. So I did all 10 basically. I forgot which other ones. I must have gone to a Muslim mosque as well, right? Like a mosque. I must have gone to a mosque. Obviously the church, everything, right? So I was just checking out all the things. So it's funny because then it's like I manifested that reality, right? Because in my real life, like it wasn't just a song. This was my real life, right? Like I was really on that search, right? I was really studying all the cultures, all the religions, reading all the books, right? Like the Quran, I never read it because I think they would say, but I heard the whole audiobook of the Quran from beginning to end. I read the Bible like over 40 times, right? Well, I read it from beginning to end a few times, but also the audiobook. I listened to it at least 40 times, right? From beginning to end. So I was like, I studied the Bible for years and years, right? But then other stuff, right? Then I read all the apocryphal books, everything they took out of the Bible, and then I just kept going from there and there. Even like the Dory Reims, how do you say it? Dory Reims, like the Catholic Bible that had differences from the regular like Bible we know, the King James and all this and that. So just to say, I was really on that search, right? So it wasn't just a song, just like it sounded cool, right? Like I was living like what I was talking about in this song, right? And there's even examples of divine intervention, right? Like I always say, like if it wasn't for music, I wouldn't be here, right? Like I think Above the Law had this verse. If you guys know who Above the Law is, West Coast legends. I know one of them already passed away. Um, or I don't know if the producer passed away too, but I know one of them passed away, right? Um, and like yeah, one of the I think Cold One, Hutch 187, right? Damn, I can't believe I'm slipping, man, because I can't believe it's not. I'm mixing it up with the Easy E. Yeah, I think it is Cold 187, right? Or is it Hutch? Oh yeah, Hutch. Yeah. Cold 187. Yeah, Cold 187. Big Hutch. Yeah. Okay, I was mixing it up with that Easy album for some reason, right? The one with where has the Dr. Dre thing crossed out. But yeah, like him, he had this verse. I think that he goes like, "If it wasn't for music, I'd be dead or in jail," or something like that. So that was very much the story. That's what the It's All Spiritual song represents. I know there's a long story, but one of the reasons too I want to have this podcast is I've always wanted to be able to tell the story of these songs, right? Like these songs, like I said, right? They saved my life. Then they still to this day, right? They're still extremely therapeutic. For like I said, for those that don't know, I've released 27 albums, but I've written over 1,000 songs in my time. Yeah, it's just it's second nature to me. Like this is that's why I'm really excited to be doing this. I'm gonna be even more excited once I start interviewing people, right? So yeah, let me play here. It's All Spiritual, and then I'll talk about it a little more. So here it is. It's All Spiritual.
Yeah. Be sober, be vigilant. It's all spiritual. Yeah. For we wrestle not against the flesh. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, it's all spiritual. I feel this war going on, and my spirit is soul. Sometimes it's hard to gain control. It's all spiritual. I know this here goes deep, cause I can't even sleep. And when I do, I'm having crazy dreams. It's all spiritual. I'm from the land of lost souls. Los Angeles is cold, but I'ma do this one for the city of Bridgetown. That's where I get down. The place that gave me wings and taught me to sing. I used to be about that money and moving them things. Hit them those, but for real. I like punks with deals, fabricating half their story, but they full of baloney. I used to dream of being Tony Montana and having pounds of dope stacked up like montañas. A pistol jumping low that will smoke and provoke. Now that's serious. And money don't buy happiness, makes you delirious. And now I'm furious, searching for redemption, cause the body owes me, and I'm about to make them real lonely. I'm on my way, but guess I had a plan today. Met me halfway, and I'm like, damn, what can I say? He looked at me and stared me dead in my eye and said, I'm here to save your freaking life. It's all spiritual. I tried hard to change, but I'm stuck in this game. Can't explain, I think it's safe to say it's all spiritual. Yeah, I love my kids, but I'm needing this hit. It's just a way to elevate my gifts. It's all spiritual. I know I got a wife, but it's chick looking tight, so I'ma do this thing and cut tonight. It's all spiritual. Yeah, he's down the hard, and I could get a job, but I'ma grab my ski mask and rob. It's all spiritual. Is this coincidental? Nah, homie, I think not. I'm going wiser to the way that the devil he blocks. Folks get shot on the daily. God bless the babies. Bullets ricocheting off a stop sign. That's crazy. If you can't see the irony behind it, you're wrong. Why Sarah Palin, dumb liars getting elected? We all getting screwed in this wicked game. I spit it cause I feel no shame. Gotta maintain so I can lead those that going astray. I bought George Bush's book and called it trash. I can't believe the stupidity of some human beings. We ought to practice sincerity, but for what? Man, Jesus Christ was so nice, and I mean, look what he got. By his own people nonetheless. I feel stressed what to do when this cruel world got you feeling blue. I boo-hoo, but shoot, it won't do me no good. So I'm out to teach the hood like a real man out there should. Always rep the hood, I'm in it for life. Though this wheelchair don't feel too nice, it's all spiritual. I gotta make that cash and slang something fast. It's a blast, can't change my past. It's all spiritual. I love spitting these flows, but I gotta make dough, so I'ma be like Jay, I can't be low. It's all spiritual. You know I'm on that block, serving crack on my socks, and I'ma make this money like it or not. It's all spiritual. I'm trying hard to make you listen. I know there's friction, cause they feed your mind fiction and keep contradictions coming. Stimulating your mind could be numbing, but you gotta stay awake, stay wise, and be cunning. Getting caught up in these empty, trivial distractions. Women trying to sleep with me based on physical attraction. I throw no game back at them, I throw these lines back at them. Stimulate your brain first before you end up in a hearse. I mean that HIV and AIDS is real. What happened to old school parents? These days they're transparent. man, it's so apparent. Their teaching is greed, so be wise to the scheme and the things that they feed. Spend billions on TV for what? Advertisement? You think it doesn't work? Well, sip your Starbucks, but stay alert. You spend more time on your iPhone than church, and wonder why the world feels so cursed. It's all spiritual. I'm out to kill my foes, wear murderous clothes, intend to leave their guts and brains exposed. It's all spiritual. The devil spreads his lies, but I gotta be wise. Get a grip and open up my eyes. It's all spiritual. I need to see the depth and be cautious of steps, and know there ain't no such coincidence. It's all spiritual. Man, I feel these demons fighting over my soul, but I know that God's love never runs cold. It's all spiritual. So that was It's All Spiritual, produced by David Salas, right? Obviously written and performed by me, the Architect. So as you could see, like even back then, right? I was already very aware, right? In 2010, you know, it hadn't started yet. The thing that everybody's talking about, conspiracies or this or that or all this stuff. Like I'm really trying to like express like the design, right? Just how deep it gets, like even in that verse where I go like, look, I'm trying hard to make you listen. I know there's friction because they feed your mind fiction and keep contradictions coming. Stimulating your mind could be numbing, but you gotta stay awake, stay wise, and be cunning, right? Getting caught up in these empty, trivial distractions, right? So, I was already spitting it, trying to wake people up, trying to take it to another level than. At that point, I think there was, that was a huge time when rap was being dumbed down a lot, right? So I was just trying to go in the other direction, right? But, it's cool. It doesn't matter because, like I said, regardless, it's therapeutic, right? I don't really care. I'm sure at one point I was more about like, oh, but then it's cool. You know what I mean? I learned to adapt as well because not everybody's there, right? And that's why too the spiritual podcast, I mean, I guess that was better to be able to speak about spiritual things through a podcast rather than through a song where you only get 4 minutes. Like how deep can you get? You could get deep, right? But with then comes everything you need to explain, right? So yeah, I think that's it really, that all I got to say about that song, right? Like I said, it was a journey. At that time I had already been through a lot of things, right? Divine intervention, which I've already talked about on my spiritual podcast. I mean, whatever you can imagine, like I went through it, and that's what this whole like It's All Spiritual song was about, right? Like I said, it was like and then even the hook, right? I feel this war going on in my spirit and soul. Sometimes hard to gain control. It's all spiritual. Yeah, this year goes deep because I can't even sleep. And when I do, I'm having crazy dreams. It's all spiritual. So the whole song is just like really talking about what I was living that a lot of people didn't understand. You know what I mean? That kind of stuff. So I think that's it really. So thank you for watching. That's episode 1 of I Am Music Podcast. If you're into spiritual things, you could swing over to the In a Good Way podcast, right? I already have links to it on my channel. Like I said, it's at what is it, like 130 episodes. Yeah, so it's over there. I've interviewed everything you could imagine, right? Like when it comes to spiritual things that some people aren't there yet, but at least everybody that I've interviewed, they understand that, or you know what I mean, those kind of things. So it's cool, right? Like there's an audience that for that, obviously, right? So on that note, I'm gonna end it there, and thanks for listening. Peace.